Hi everyone, this is Sanjana from Mockat. Today's video is a very quick one just to let you know that the CAT notification is out. So we'll go through the notification, we'll deep dive a little bit into what is the expected CAT format and all of the dates and all. And I'll be putting the links for you in the description as well, but the base site is imcat.ac.in. Now for our convenience, the dates are mentioned right out here. Registration, when the admit card will come in, what's the exam date, that's of course the most important, 26th of November. But let's first take a look at the notifications themselves. You just come down out here and then you have a whole bunch of information which has been released. So let's look at the CAT 2023 Information Bulletin and the media release. This will pretty much give us the key information. So now the first thing that we get to know is the date of the exam, Sunday, November 26, as expected, is the last Sunday of November, and it's going to be held in 3 sessions. So all of the programs for which CAT becomes a necessity are mentioned out here. You also have your PhD, what is typically called the FPM program, or the doctoral program. For that, again, you need to take CAT for those of you who are not considering it for an MBA, but from a PhD perspective, the 5-year course. That's an integrated program. But for most of you, this is the relevant part. Now let's come and understand a little more about the exam per se. So first thing we have is the eligibility. Now, as long as you are in your final year of your bachelor's or you've graduated, in both cases, 50% marks or equivalent CGPA, and in case of SC, ST and PWD, it's 45% or equivalent. This is the major criteria that we have to be allowed to take CAT. There are some institutes which will insist on 60% marks. Most of the institutes, 50% in your college is all that they are looking for. So as long as you have 50% marks or the equivalent or higher, even if your 10th and 12th marks are lower than this or something, you are eligible for CAT. This is the one thing. In terms of what all universities, again, it can be, that's again something which is mentioned out here. Foreign universities are also accepted. There's also more details. If you want to check a little bit more about your university, you can also get into this CAT 2023 eligibility part and understand more. The next thing we get to know is reservation. So you'll have 15% for SC, 7.5% for ST, that's totaling up to 22.5%. Another 20% for OBC, but in OBC, it is within the non-creamy section. So you can't just fall into this caste category and have that relevant certificate. You also need to have your certificate for your income. The income has to be below the threshold so that you're qualifying, that you are part of the non-creamy layer. You also have economically weaker section, that's another 10%. Economically weaker section is typically for forward caste. So in case of your SC and ST, there's no income criteria. In case of OBC, there is an income criteria. And similarly, if you're from the forward caste, but again, your family income is below a certain threshold, again, there is reservation. There's also a separate reservation for PWD. This is something which was introduced a couple of years back. Before that, PWD used to be looked at within the castes. Now it's a separate reservation which is there. This is all, of course, based on the government mandates, and in case if the government makes any changes or anything like that, again, that would be considered. It's important to take a look at all of this, because when we fill the CAT form, there'll actually be certain necessary certificates if you are applying within any of these criteria. So in case if you're falling in any of these, just take a look, understand it. You can also go through the certificates themselves to get a better understanding. Now, along with that, we also have the fees that will be charged for registering. Basically, the form includes your CAT application as well as your application for as many of the PGP or other programs of the IIMs, right? So, and for that, depending on which category you fall in, your payment is either 1,200 or 2,400. Now, we have over 150 test centers, 155 in total. And that's something, again, when we fill the CAT form, you'll have that list of cities. So if it's there in your city, or, whatever's your nearest city, we'll essentially be choosing. The timelines, we can get a sense of here because it's written in an easier way. So the CAT application, that's pretty much the first application which opens up. Most Indian MBA entrance tests, the applications will come up sometime back. But CAT registration will open up on 2nd August and it's expected to close on 13th September. I'm saying expected because sometimes it has been postponed, but please don't bank on that. In fact, at Mockat, we always recommend that the sooner you start your registration process, the better it is. Because as you're filling the form, you might realize that, oh, there's some document which I don't have or something like that. And then you are giving yourself enough time to get it. So some of the documents which we will require, photograph, a scanned copy of the signature, and your test city preferences, which we just spoke about. We'll be essentially giving multiple cities. In my experience, usually the first city is what we have got and what our students have got year on year. Again, it depends on how many centers are there in your particular city. Now the date again, 26th, in 3 sessions. The good thing is we now know that the test is definitely going to be for 2 hours, and that's split into 40 minutes for each section. Now that means that the format is probably going to be close to last year's CAT. So the format that we can expect is probably 24 questions in the verbal section, 4 cases totaling to 20 questions in DILR, and 22 standalone questions in the Quant section. This is the format that we've had for the last couple of years. And generally what we've seen in CAT is if one of the IIMs introduces some change, that change typically is held on to by the next conducting IIM and so on. So the change which was made last year, which is instead of having 4 and 6 question DILR cases, we just had 4 or 5 question DILR cases. We can probably expect that to continue this year as well. Delving a little bit deeper into the individual sections, on the verbal front, if you watched my videos, you already know this. RCs or reading comprehension is the part which is most important. We can expect to get 4 RCs, each with 4 questions. Last couple of years, that's what we've had. The previous year in CAT 2020, when the 2-hour slot was introduced, we had 2 RCs with 4 questions and 2 RCs with 5 questions. So the number of questions also was 26. But we can reasonably expect that it will be 4 RCs of 4 questions each. CATs generally stuck to a 2:1 number of questions for RC and non-RC. So we can definitely expect a sizable number of RC questions. Here you have some of the probable genres in front of you. The other thing which has been a fixture in the last so many CAT exams has been summary questions. Here again we can expect probably something like 3 questions. Jumbled paragraphs, these are the short answer or the type in the answer, basically the non-MCQ questions on the verbal front. 3 questions is what has been there. And then another change which was brought in last year, sentence insertion. So we can probably expect 2 questions in this front as well. On the DILR front, the focus can be expected to be more on the LR section, but we should definitely get 1 case on the DI front. Generally, the DI cases have been a little easy. It will usually not be calculation intensive. In fact, we have a calculator, so making a calculation intensive question doesn't make sense. So this would probably be an easy case for you to target. So you should definitely go through all of these. And then on the LR front, numerical reasoning, ranking, matching, these are some of the more important topics, but I've listed down all the syllabus for you. It's important to realize that the CAT authorities do not come up with the syllabus. This is something which we know based on all of the past years that we've been having CAT exams. Now on the Quant front, it's high school math. The most important topic is arithmetic, followed by algebra and then geometry. And along with that, we also have numbers and modern maths topics. These questions would be expected to be more conceptual. We have a lot of resources at Mockat. We have our concept revision videos. We have concept testers as well as daily quizzes. So you're welcome to check these out for your practice. I'll also be releasing a video in how you can prepare for CAT in the next 4 odd months that we have. And you can use that as well for your prep as well as your test schedule. Now, one more important thing is it's going to be IIM Lucknow that is conducting CAT 2023. This is something which has been out in the news for some time. So many of you will already know this, but I'm touching upon this because I do get a lot of questions saying, oh, if this particular IIM is sort of like, administering the exam this year, then we can expect to have tougher verbal questions or tougher quant questions, or the paper will be tough or easy. There are a lot of people who speculate like this. So I wanted to let you know that it's important to not sort of fall for that because every year the convener will be different and the questions are generally vetted by multiple people. So we can't really say that, oh, if it is this IIM, then, if it's IIM Calcutta, then, quant is going to be tough or something like that. In fact, one perception which used to be there earlier is that, if it's IIM Bangalore, the paper will be easy. And we saw last year that that was definitely not the case. In fact, the marks required for 99 percentile fell by some 13 or 14 marks, right, last year. So don't bank upon a particular IIM thinking that such and such section is going to be easy. And please don't be scared thinking, oh, some section is going to be tough. Since we have had 3 different slots, what we've seen is in each slot, there could be a different section which would be tough. So last year, for example, the verbal section was tough in slot 1. And then we had the DILR section, which also was a little tough in both slot 1 and slot 3. Quant was more conceptual in slot 2, a little longer in slot 3. Right? So different slots will have different difficulty levels. So don't predict this, just make sure that you've put in your preparation in terms of knowing things conceptually, doing a lot of reading for VRC, a lot of solving for all the 3 sections, and you've taken an adequate number of mocks and you're analyzing them so that you give it your best shot. Expect that CAT will come with some surprises. You can have some section which is tough. You could have some new question type which is introduced or some change in the format. No matter what, whatever it is for you is true for everyone else. So if a particular section is tough for you, it's probably tough for everyone. So just prepare, give it your best shot, try to be as calm as possible in the exam. And we'll also be putting up a video on how you can prepare, what are the important topics, what is it that you should do in mocks, and just watch out for that video and hopefully that will be helpful. So all the best to you.